When Sarah and I tied the knot 3 years ago, I genuinely believed love could conquer all. I thought patience and warmth would forge a connection between me and all 4 children, that I could be the stepfather I always wished I'd had as a kid. For the first few months, it seemed like my dream was coming true. We had pizza nights every Friday, waffle mornings on Sundays, and a family tradition where everyone shared one positive moment from their day at dinner. It felt like a fresh start, a blended family that might just click. Hey folks, before we dive deeper into this tale, please hit that subscribe button and give a thumbs up if you want more stories like this. I brought my 2 kids, Lily and Ethan, into the mix, while Sarah brought her children, Noah and Ava. Noah was 16, already halfway out the door, and Ava at 14 had that teenage blend of curiosity and defiance. Their dad, Michael, lived 20 minutes away, and the kids spent every other weekend with him. I knew blending families would take time, but I was committed to earning their trust. I got Noah new sneakers when his old ones wore out, helped Ava with a school project on the solar system, and made sure they were part of our game nights. I wanted them to know I wasn't trying to replace their father, just to be another adult who cared about them. But tiny fractures started to show. Sometimes when I called Noah for dinner, he'd act like he didn't hear me. He'd wait for Sarah to echo my words before coming downstairs. Ava began copying him, ignoring me with a sly grin that screamed, "You're not my boss." I chalked it up to teenage rebellion, convincing myself it would fade, but it didn't. One Saturday, I was hauling groceries from the car. "Hey Noah, can you lend a hand?" I asked, juggling heavy bags. He stared right at me and said, "You're not my father, I don't have to do what you say." His voice was calm, but the words struck like a blow to the ribs. Sarah, folding clothes nearby, overheard and told him to help. He did, but every step oozed resentment. The bags hit the counter with a thud. No words, no eye contact. I tried to brush it off. He's just adjusting, I told myself. He's only a kid. But that night I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering where I'd gone wrong. Was I too strict, too lenient, or did he simply not want me around? The tension grew like a silent storm. At dinner, Noah would ask Sarah, not me, if he could visit a friend. Ava started saying, "Mom said I don't have to," even when Sarah hadn't spoken. My kids noticed too. Lily asked me one night, "Why do Noah and Ava get to ignore you?" I didn't know how to answer. How do you tell your daughter that respect isn't equal in her own home? Still, I kept trying. I invited Noah to go camping with me and Ethan one weekend. He said he'd think about it, then never showed. I offered to help Ava with her science fair poster. She said Michael was already helping. I was building a bridge, but they were quietly dismantling it. One evening stands out. We were watching a movie and Sarah stepped out to take a call. A funny scene played and I chuckled. Ava leaned toward Noah and whispered, loud enough for me to hear, "Mom's the only real parent here." Noah snickered. It wasn't just their words, it was how casually they said them. As if I didn't exist in my own home, I felt like a ghost. That night I stayed in my study long after everyone was asleep. The house was silent except for the soft hum of the heater. I thought about my father, a man who ruled with yelling and slammed doors. I'd sworn I'd never be like him. But now I wondered if being kind and patient was just teaching them they could walk all over me. For the first time, I felt something new, not anger, but a sharp, clear realization. If this kept up, I'd lose not only their respect, but my own. That's when I knew the honeymoon was over. The unraveling wasn't sudden. It was gradual, like pebbles piling into a mountain. Every day, the air in the house grew thicker. The laughter that once echoed in the kitchen now felt forced, like we were all pretending the ground wasn't cracking beneath us. I kept hoping it was temporary. That one morning Noah would greet me without that edge in his tone, that Ava would smile like she did when I helped with her homework. But those days never came. Instead, the gap widened. One evening I got home late from work. The scent of dinner lingered, but everyone had eaten without me. Sarah was on the couch, scrolling her phone, and Noah was sprawled in the living room, feet on the coffee table, gaming. "Hey Noah," I said, setting my bag down. "Can you take your shoes off the table?" He didn't look up. "Ask Mom," he mumbled. Sarah glanced over, her face a mix of exhaustion and irritation. "Noah," she said softly, "listen to David." He sighed heavily and moved his feet, not because I asked, because she did. That was the routine. Every request I made needed Sarah's stamp of approval to matter. I wasn't a parental figure. I was static they could tune out. Then came the school event. Ava had a choir performance, and I left work early to attend. I brought her flowers, daisies, because she'd once called them cheerful. When I gave them to her, she smiled politely and said, "Oh, I'll give these to Dad. He loves flowers." Michael wasn't even there. That night I washed dishes while Sarah tried to comfort me. "She didn't mean it like that," she said softly, but I wasn't mad. I was exhausted. Exhausted from chasing affection that wasn't mine to have. The breaking point came on a cold, dreary Thursday in February. I'd had a grueling day at work and just wanted a calm night with my family. Instead, I found Ethan in his room, sobbing, holding the shattered pieces of his favorite model car, one we'd spent 2 weekends building. His hands trembled. "What happened, buddy?" I asked, kneeling beside him. He hesitated, lip quivering. "Noah broke it. He said I was annoying and threw it." My chest tightened. "Did he say sorry?" Ethan shook his head. "He said, tell your dad to get you a new one. That's all he's good for." Something inside me froze. I found Noah in the living room, bathed in the TV's glow, gaming like nothing had happened. "Noah," I said, keeping my voice steady. "We need to talk about Ethan's car." He didn't pause his game. "Don't know what you mean." "You broke it," I said. "The one we built together." He shrugged. "Stuff breaks." "This wasn't an accident," I said. "Ethan said you threw it because he wouldn't share his headphones." He finally looked at me, and for a moment I saw something in his eyes, not remorse, not fear, just defiance. "Ethan's lying, and even if he's not, you're not my dad. I don't owe you an explanation." The room seemed to tilt. His words cut deeper than I expected. I took a slow breath. "You're in my house, Noah. You eat my food, use my Wi-Fi." He laughed, cutting me off. "Your house. Mom pays rent too. Your son? Ethan's not my brother. And you're just Mom's husband. You don't set my rules." That was it. The storm broke. I didn't shout. I didn't threat. I just stood there, feeling everything turn cold, like a switch had flipped. I looked at this boy who just told me I was nothing, and I realized it was time to stop begging for respect. "All right," I said quietly. "I hear you." I turned and walked to my study. The door clicked shut, muffling Noah's game. I sat at my desk, opened my laptop, and started a list. Every bill in my name: the mortgage, utilities, internet, streaming services, car insurance. I stared at the screen as a strange calm washed over me. That night I called every provider. I removed Noah and Ava's phones from the family plan. I changed the Wi-Fi password. I canceled the streaming accounts and scheduled the cable to be cut off. One by one, I reclaimed the pieces of my life I'd been giving away. Sarah found me around 10 p.m., her voice soft but shaky. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Noah made it clear I'm not his parent," I said, not looking up. "So I'm making sure he doesn't rely on someone who isn't." Her face paled. "David, what did you do?" "I cut their phones, the internet's off tomorrow, and I'll need Michael's address. I'm dropping their stuff off this weekend." She stared at me, stunned. "You can't mean this." I met her eyes. "Sarah, your son said I have no authority in my own home. He's right, I'm not his parent. But that means I'm not responsible for him either." She tried to argue, but I walked past her, calm as stone. For the first time in years, I felt in control. The next morning, the house was eerily silent. No footsteps, no bickering over the car's front seat. No music blaring from Noah's room, just quiet. The kind of quiet that feels heavy, not peaceful. Sarah barely spoke to me that day. When she did, her voice was sharp, fragile. "I can't believe you changed the locks," she said. I didn't reply. There was nothing to say. She called Michael, and by evening he was in our driveway. Noah and Ava stood by the car, bags at their feet, faces a mix of anger and uncertainty. Sarah's eyes were red from crying. Mine were dry. I'd run out of tears long ago. Michael got out, trying to mediate. "David, this feels extreme. They're just kids." I looked at him, voice level. "Michael, if your son told you you weren't his father, that he didn't have to listen, and your kids didn't matter, what would you do?" He paused, then spoke quietly. "I'd probably want to teach him a lesson." "That's what I'm doing," I said, "teaching them about respect and consequences." I turned to Noah and Ava. They looked smaller than they had the night before. "This isn't about punishment," I said. "It's about respect. You've made it clear I'm not your parent, that's fine. But parents provide for their kids. If I'm not yours, I don't have to keep doing that. Actions have consequences, that's how life works." Ava's eyes welled up. "But where will we go?" "To your dad's," I said softly. "He's your parent." Noah's voice broke. "You're really doing this?" I nodded. "You said I have no authority." "You're right, but authority and responsibility are tied. No authority, no responsibility." As I helped Michael load their bags, I felt a mix of sorrow and relief, like I'd finally let go of a weight I'd carried for years. Sarah didn't look at me. When the car pulled away, she went inside without a word. That night I sat alone in the living room, the fireplace casting shadows on the walls. For the first time in ages, I wasn't angry, just empty. In that emptiness, I realized something Sometimes love means letting go of what's broken to see if it can mend. The days after were tough. Sarah and I barely talked. She accused me of abandoning her kids, of being harsh. But then something changed. The house, though quieter, felt lighter. Lily and Ethan started laughing again. They did chores without prompting. The constant undercurrent of hostility was gone. We could breathe. A week later, Michael called. "Noah and Ava want to come back," he said. I paused. "Do they understand why this happened?" "I think so," he said. "Noah's been quiet, thoughtful." Ava cried the first night. She said she misses her mom and you. That hit harder than I expected. When they returned, Sarah and I sat them down in the living room. The air was heavy but less guarded, more open. "Before you move back," I said, "I need to know you understand this house's rules. I'm not asking you to call me dad or love me like your father, but I need you to treat me with respect like any adult who provides for you." Noah nodded first. "I get it, and I'm sorry for what I said. For Ethan's car, it was wrong." Ava's voice shook. "I'm sorry too. I didn't realize how much you did until it was gone." Sarah cried quietly beside me. I took her hand. "Thank you," I said. "That means a lot." The change wasn't instant, but it happened. Noah started asking for my help with schoolwork. Ava left thank you notes on the counter after I drove her to practice. There were still fights, still tense moments, but the tone shifted. The walls between us had cracks now, letting light through. 6 months later, I came home to find Noah at the kitchen table, struggling with a math problem. He looked up. "Can you help me?" It was the first time he'd asked without Sarah's nudge. I didn't hesitate. That summer, Ava insisted I attend her soccer game. "It won't feel right if you're not there," she said. A year later, Noah asked to go to a concert with friends. Sarah approved, but I hesitated. The venue was rough, the hour late. I explained my concerns, expecting an eye roll. Instead, he listened. "What if I'm back by 11 and text when I'm there?" It wasn't perfect, but it was respect. The respect I'd fought for was taking root. Looking back, I don't regret my actions. It wasn't about punishment or ego. It was about showing that love without boundaries turns into resentment. Being a parent or step-parent sometimes means being the villain to teach a lasting lesson. Sarah and I are stronger now. She told me later, "You didn't just change the locks, David. You opened something we all needed to face." She was right. Was I wrong? Maybe to some. But to me and the family we've become, it was the moment everything began to heal. Because sometimes love doesn't whisper, it slams the door to be heard. What do you think of this story? Share in the comments, hit like, and subscribe for more real-life tales.